one of 3 factory lightweight GT40 Mark IIs, 100% original body and chassis. Regarded by Ronnie Spain as the most original Mark II GT40, period. The Mark II GT40, the pinnacle of sports racing cars, arguably from any era.
This is one of my most favorite historic photos. This is Le Mans 1966, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you finally get a Ferrari, and then you get another GT40. You have 5 GT40s in the first 6 positions. The cars were going to be dominant. And what people don't realize is there's 5 cars right there in the first 6 positions. There were only 11 cars built totally. 2 were destroyed in period. That only leaves 9 left. Of those 9 cars, only 3 were factory lightweight cars. The lightweight cars are really special in the sense that you have to think Ford was spending an unlimited amount of money to make the drivetrain reliable. They were trying to make the brakes reliable. Well, a big part of any race car is the lighter you can make it, the easier it is on the engine, the easier it is on the brakes, the easier it is on the suspension, the easier it is on the tires. These cars, these 3 cars, were really special. Super lightweight chassis, aluminum roofs. They sculpted anywhere they could get weight out of these cars. There were only 3 built. The other one is in the Fred Simeone Museum, which will never come out. XGT2, which is the second lightweight car, is sitting there, and this is XGT3, which is the third lightweight car. You're probably not going to see a lightweight car come up for decades again. Even the rest of the 427 Mark IIs are in the hands of people like Collier's, Kaufman's, the Shelby collection, the Millers, and then a couple of super big collections that they're never going to come out of. This is a really special car. The other thing that makes this car so special is that it's probably the only survivor Mark II, or the most original Mark II. Matter of fact, Ronnie Spain says it is the most original Mark II left on the planet. This car was the spare car for that 66 Le Mans race. It never turned a wheel in anger. And then Ford used it as their promotion car. So after they won Le Mans in 66, they painted this car black, and they took it around on tour. Then in 67, when Ford won again, they painted the car red the way it is today, and they took it around on tour. And they kept the car for a number of years, and in the 70s, they sold it off. But the car has all of its original fiberglass, all of its original tubs, suspension, tanks, just everything on this car was from this car. It never got beat up. It never got hurt. It is the most original Mark II on the planet. And when we have a close look at it, it's never been restored. It's been tweaked. It's been touched up. But for the most part, this car is untouched. Of the 9 cars left, 4 or 5 of them were upgraded in 67 to 2Bs or some iteration of that, leaving this the way it is even more significant. Let's have a close look at some of the details on this car. It is really special. So when you have a look at the body, you can see all the original fiberglass is still intact and really hasn't been touched. You know, a lot of the insulation, just everything about it, the engine, the chassis, nothing's really been redone. You look at the gearbox, all the original hoses, all of the original fittings, all of the original hardware is still on this car. Even the oil coolers, they're actually Cessna 172 oil coolers that they used back in the day. All of the tanks are the original tanks. All the suspension, the uprights, the brakes, the half shafts, the transaxle, all of that stuff, including date-coated tires that we did find. And again, when we got this car, we tweaked it a bit. Some of the hardware had been changed out. Tires were obviously missing. It was missing some of the seat belts and stuff. We found all the NOS original parts to go back on this car. Literally, there is no reproduction on this car. So a little history lessons. The Mark I's came with the 289s. They came with 5 speeds. The Mark IIs came with the 427s. They came with 4 speeds. Ford had spent a ton of money making these super reliable. They put them on the dyno for 36 hours, not 24 hours. They wanted to make sure they were going to live. Their medium riser 427 side oiler, dry sump engines. The whole front of this engine in the oil pan is really unique, different than any other car. The oil tank is in the front. It's got a huge capacity, so it helps cool the engine as well. Motors were built for 7,500 RPM. You saw in the movie Ford versus Ferrari take it to 7,000. You know, that's big RPM for a 427, but they could loaf around at 6,000 all day long. What is also very cool is because they made them such low-end powerhouses, you know, big torque, didn't have to wind them out to ridiculous RPM. They live forever. They're super drivable. We took XGT2 on a tour of 100 miles down at Pebble Beach. It was one of the nicest GT40s to drive. Super usable, super drivable car. The other interesting thing people always ask is, what are these boxes doing back here? Well, the Le Mans rules were you had to have luggage boxes in there or a place to put the luggage. Kind of an interesting rule. They fit it in, they made it work. I mean, just kind of crazy. Mark IIs also realized that they needed to cool the brakes better. They needed to cool that whole area better. So they added these brake coolers in the rear, ducted directly down to the brakes to even keep the rear brakes cool. The front brake coolers, we'll show you in a bit, monstrous sizes. They use this to help cool the transaxle. All of the air into the engine goes through the top scoops here, goes directly into this plenum, and then into the carburetor. Everything was functional. These scoops weren't just for good looks. They were really functional on the car. The side scoops here go directly to the oil coolers on each side. Again, super functional. And of course, the bundle of snakes header is just a work of art on these cars. They're monstrous pipes and they have such a great sound to them. Let's have a look at the front of the car. And again, this car has all its original fiberglass, its Lexan, like all of the really cool pieces on it. The original wheels that are Dow 7 coated. Again, an NOS tire in here. All the original fittings, the radiator. But look at the size of the oil tank in the front here. Just a monster tank. And if you get down here and you look at the brake ducts are got to be 5-inch tubes to the front calipers to keep them cool. It's pretty awesome. These tiny little NACA ducts go to the driver to keep the driver somewhat cool. Again, everything's super functional. Air comes in here through the radiator and then comes out here over top, creating some of the downforce. What's also cool is in here, if they had to get to the oil tank without having to lift up the front, they have this little latch. So what's kind of interesting is only cars that were built for Le Mans had one filler instead of two, so that one is riveted off. They had a crossover tube. They still had 2 tanks, one on each side, but only one filler. Again, they come in pits on Le Mans, they only want to fill up one side. So only the Le Mans cars had that. Here's a little tidbit that's kind of cool, and I don't know if Ford did it on purpose, thumbing their nose at Ferrari, but these hinges are from a 275 GTB Ferrari. They used it for the bonnet latch. Kind of cool. If we look in the inside of this car, again, you just open the door. Everything is super, super lightweight. These belts are an NOS set of seat belts, almost impossible to find, and the NOS parachute material, again, almost impossible to find. Once you're in the cars are really comfortable. Everything is right there. The ergonomics is great, and you fit in quite nicely. Everything is where it should be. The crossover tube that I was talking about literally runs across the front here, goes to the 2 tanks. The dash layout is really cool. It's got all its original gauges and all its original switches, which is super cool. You know, there's a neat little piece here that was a tack calibration that was left on this door jamb here, and it was the actual tack reading and the calibrated reading, which is really cool.
You gotta remember, by the time Ford had taken these cars to Le Mans, it wasn't their first rodeo anymore. They went there with the intention of winning the race, and that's exactly what they did with these Mark IIs. They had run these cars on the engine dyno for cars ever to run at Le Mans. The reason that these cars are actually so comfortable and really easy to drive is the big 427. You know, obviously they've got huge mile-an-hour capabilities. At Le Mans, well over 200 miles an hour every single lap, multiple times a lap. But really just chugging along with huge torque at relatively low RPM. Again, making these big Mark IIs really a more drivable car than the 289s. As I'm cruising on the street here, really, again, a super drivable car, really enjoyable car to just cruise on the street. Obviously super capable. The car does everything you want out of it. It turns, it stops. It's extremely stable at high speed. And it sounds pretty darn good. Because these cars were so over-engineered with the emphasis on them living for 24 hours, again, makes it a pretty foolproof car. Water temperature is great. You're never going to really heat up the brakes too much. And you're going to get all the mile an hour you want out of the big 427. We took a 289 GT40 to the Le Mans Classics a few years back. Gave me a whole new appreciation for the racetrack and really a whole new appreciation for these cars, these Mark IIs, and what Ford achieved with these cars and the way they did it. You know, really over-engineering the car, over-engineering the aerodynamics, over-engineering the horsepower, the brakes, everything, so that these cars would achieve a huge lap time or a really quick lap time at Le Mans without stressing the car and without making the drivers push as hard as they had to in the 289s.
It's kind of bittersweet. We're taking it to auction to make them. We're fortunate enough we have the sister car to this that is actually the car there at Le Mans that was driven by Graham Hill that led the Le Mans race, and it's that famous picture of it burning out. So it's kind of bittersweet. We're letting probably the most original, correct Mark II go, but we have another one that is, you know, really significant as well. But it's going to be really the last opportunity to buy a Mark II, you know, maybe in the next 2 or 3 decades. It's a special car, and hopefully it goes to a special home.